Hello, parents. My name is Mr. Meuer, Will Meuer. I am your son or daughter's human geography teacher. Welcome to the 2020 Remote Learning Edition. In the next minute or two, I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself as well as the class for this semester. Best way to contact me is email, wmeur@lths.net. That is found on the course Canvas page located via lths.net. My wife and I live in the district along with our two kids that also live in the district. Our son is going into 8th grade at Gurry Middle School. Our daughter is a 5th grader this year at 7th Avenue School. Besides human geography, I'm also teaching 4 sections of world history, and I'm also the sponsor of the South Campus Recycling Club. Information about human geography this semester is all located on the LT Human Geography Canvas page. Links to Zoom meeting times, course objectives, assignments, test dates, and so forth can all be found there. The class textbook and Introduction to Human Geography. If your student does not have the text, the bookstore at South Campus is the place to go to obtain a copy. As far as supplies, the only thing I put down for supplies for this semester is for each student to have a spiral notebook for notes, for keeping track of class discussions and so forth. Here's an example of what the Canvas page looks like, where I've got it arranged by date. The most recent course date is listed in the first row, preceded by dates of the past. Learning targets, daily activities are linked in there as well. As far as units of study, we start off looking at basic concepts of geography and relevance of geography. From there, we look at topics of population, migration, issues of development in sub-Saharan Africa, Southeast Asia. We look at resource issues in terms of renewable resources, non-renewable resources. And then we try to save a little bit of time for political geography. I took a little time at the opening part of class a week ago to have the students weigh in on topics they thought would be interesting to look at this semester. And in listening to some of their highlights, I'm also figuring out ways to be able to blend in some of these other topics that, as they were perusing the text, that they thought would be useful and relevant for to learn more about. As far as the Zoom classes themselves, we just talked about basic norms of, they're good about having their microphone muted when class starts. One of the challenges is just encouraging students to have the video on so that I can see that they're not only logged on, but they're actually present and, hopefully engaged in class. Having the video on helps students to get to know each other, me to get to know them, and really fosters so much better an atmosphere for social connections. Besides that, just encouraging in general, being patient with technology issues. There's going to be glitches. There's going to be, a teacher that's still trying to figure out, well, what to click next type of thing. But treat others how you want to be treated, and we should be good to go. A couple examples of some things that we did in the opening first 2 weeks. We looked at a reading on resilience. And in this remote learning atmosphere and challenging times, this was a topic to ask the question, what does it mean to be resilient as an individual? And to encourage the kids to talk to each other and kind of put the spotlight on themselves to see what are some of the different ways and tools and techniques that they have utilized in the last 6-7 months to enhance their resilience, to adapt, to move forward, recover from difficult experiences, just as a way to begin to open the lines of communication. Talked about some of the tools of resilience that are more positive and seen as more helpful versus the ones that might be not so helpful. And then from there, we've been starting to jump into the content of the class, looking at characteristics, human characteristics of geography, physical characteristics. Do we know the difference? This is an example of me listening to them hear about how they would like to learn more about faraway places, specifically an emphasis on ethnic studies and language. And this was a picture that I just used as a starting point to begin to talk about not just differences between human geography and physical geography, but also cultural differences, and how those can oftentimes equate into political differences. This is the Pacific island nation of Kiribati. We talk about geographic literacy. What does that mean to be geographic literate? You know, when quizzed on, do you know the 50 states, is that all there is to it? Or is it worth knowing something about some of the states versus knowing nothing about location or about the states themselves? And those are examples of conversation starters that can lead to more in-depth discussions. One of the ones we left off with today is talking about the world being pulled in opposite directions between forces of globalization and local diversity. And this is something where, you know, defining what is globalization, what does it mean when we talk about localization, and, you know, using this era of the pandemic to really apply how the tools of geography are so relevant in, you know, tracking the difference from one country to another as far as, you know, how various countries are handling COVID-19. Parts of countries, whether it's case loads or death rates, that's all connects to the category of population and demographics. Looking within states, within countries or provinces to get a sense of what regions and counties are doing or not doing. But then it's asking the question also about what it means to think global and act local, and how the actions of what individuals and communities do at the local level can have an impact globally. And while the textbook might use the example of a multinational corporation like McDonald's to make the point, the times we're living in with COVID-19 are the most teachable moment I can imagine for a geographer to utilize and to cite. And this is a map showing the college campuses that, as of August 26th, that are grappling with the pandemic and whether to close down, to go into remote learning, to dismiss students, or to forge ahead with in-person learning. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to email me. Thank you very much, and I look forward to meeting you at some point in the future.